Hey guys, what's up? It's John from Airsoft Jungle Club here, and today we have another episode of the Monday Mailbox, which is a series where you guys suggest a game type, gun, weapon system, anything of that nature, anything airsoft related, and I discuss it here while showing some game footage. And today's game footage is just a little bit of what we like to call Hazmat Shuffle. It's a game where basically we place a soda, an unshaken soda can, in a ammo crate, and one team has to escort the ammo crate from their spawn to the enemy's spawn. And this is to simulate like a biohazard or a nuclear weapon being transported out of a hot zone, or out of the heat of combat into a safer area where they can disarm it. And once they reach the enemy's spawn, the game stops, and they open up the ammo crate and open the soda. If the soda explodes once opened, that's to say, that hey, they didn't escort the bomb safely, and it went off while trying to disarm it. If the soda doesn't explode, it just opens and fizzes like it normally does. That's to say that they won. They escorted the weapon safely. And so yeah, that's the gist of Hazmat Shuffle. It's a very fun game, and it can be a very long game. If you notice, I also started using white BBs, so that way you guys can see where my rounds are going. Hopefully that gives you a little bit better footage. Anyways, on to the topic for today's Monday Mailbox. Today's topic, we're only going to be able to touch on one comment because it's such a broad spectrum of comments, or it's such a broad spectrum of a topic. It comes from Jesse. It comes from Jesse. And Jesse said that he wanted to hear a little bit about weapon upgrades to improve performance. He's mentioned that he was getting a new M4, and the first thing he wanted to drop into it was a twist barrel and an H-hop. And up until this time, I really hadn't heard much about the twist barrel. I actually had to do some research as to see what the twist barrel actually is. And for those of you who don't know, a twist barrel is, rather than having your smooth bore barrel, you have rifling in the barrel, just like a real rifle barrel. It's grooved. And so the idea is rather than having the BB bouncing down the barrel, you have the BB spinning down the barrel, and that improves accuracy. However, the only problem with it that I foresee is that by causing the BB to spin, the BB is actually already spinning, and because of the hop-up. So once you give it a different direction of spin, you lose that backspin, and you lose most of the effect of the hop-up. But he wants to equip it with an H-hop, which theoretically would give it more backspin, if I'm not mistaken. So that combination right there might allow you, Jesse, to achieve, and I assume this is what you're going for, is to achieve maximum accuracy by using that twist barrel and the increased backspin of the H-hop. I haven't heard a lot of positive things about the H-hop, except that if you dial it in right, it can be useful. And so those are two great upgrades to use on a stock airsoft gun. But I thought, what would I do to a gun that I just got out of the box? Say, I bought a G&G Sportline or something like that and wanted to upgrade the heck out of it. What would be the first two things I would do to the gun? And the more I thought about it, the more I realized that you really can't just upgrade two things. It's really difficult to just pick two. And ultimately, it really depends on the application of which that gun is going to be used for. So I broke it down to categories. We have a CQB gun, a field gun, a DMR, and then just a straight up sniper rifle. And then I also threw in polar stars. So those with polar stars, maybe have a good idea of, maybe something they can do to increase their performance within a gun. So let's start with the CQB gun. The things I would do to a CQB gun is right away, to make it CQB legal, I would throw in an M95 or maybe an M100 spring, and which is actually a downgrade from your stock spring, which is going to shoot about 370 FPS or so. And I would put a high-speed motor in it, and particularly I would probably go with the Matrix series. I think it's like the Matrix 3000. I think it's it's either red or blue motor that they have out there. It's really nice. It's top of the line. And that combination of having a weaker spring, which is going to shoot under 350 FPS, but having a high-speed motor is going to give you a high rate of fire. And in CQB, you really have a limited window usually, I've found, to make contact with the enemy. They're just going to pop around a corner real fast, or maybe just a body part will be sticking out. So in that short amount of time in which you are granted a target, I found it is best to put as many rounds on target as possible, or at least get as many rounds out of the gun as possible in that short frame of time. So that's why I went with 2 upgrades, which would give me the best rounds per second or rounds per minute. So that's what I would do to a CQB gun. For field, I definitely would mix it up a little bit. I would give it a high torque motor because it's got a heavier spring in it. It's got that, maybe a 370 to 400 FPS spring in it, and we want to achieve maximum trigger response and maximum rounds per second, rounds per minute. You're going to want a higher torque motor than what's stock in there. So that's, again, I'd recommend a Matrix. I think it's a Matrix 3000 series. It's either red or blue. One of them is high speed, one of them is high torque. And just to get the high torque version of that, I'd throw that in there right away. And then the other thing I would do is, since you're engaging at longer distances, I would put a different hop-up in. I would probably go with either the Mad Bull hop-up or the Pro-Win hop-up. And before you shoot me down on that, both of those hop-ups are known to have imperfections. Occasionally, the Mad Bull is known to come out after manufactured with just a slight burr on the inside of where the barrel and the bucking were to go, and where the rounds were to feed. That kind of basically where the chamber starts. And if you just take a file and take care of that bucking on the few that have that burr, you should be set to go. And I've been very impressed with the results I've seen from guys who use that hop-up. And with the Pro-Win, the problems, a lot of people hate the Pro-Win, and the reason being is a lot of those guys are using the Prometheus bucking, and that bucking is, I talked to our gun tech Ray, and he said the reason for that is because the bucking they're using is usually too thin. If they get a thicker bucking, they should not have any problems with it. And he said that if you align it correctly and you use the proper bucking, you can actually achieve some fantastic results. So that would be my recommendation for the field gun. Moving on to the DMR. For those of you who don't know, a DMR is just a designated marksman rifle. It's when in the Army or the military or whatever branch you're in, when you achieve a very high accuracy in training, then you are awarded the position of a designated marksman, somebody who is given like an M14 EBR or maybe an M16, or a rifle chambered in something heavier than a just the standard 5.56 round. So they give you, I can't think of the caliber at the moment, but basically they give you something that packs a little bit more punch and is meant for a little bit longer distances, but you're still with your regular squad, or in your regular platoon, separate from your designated sniper. So the designated marksman's rifle is kind of like a semi or fully automatic sniper rifle, but it can't quite reach out to the range that a bolt action can. And so if you want to achieve like a full auto sniper rifle, I would recommend dropping in a 6.03 millimeter tight bore barrel. And the reason for that, the reason why I go with a 603 and not a 601, is because the 601 are known to have some jamming issues. And if you want reliability out of your weapon, it's best to go with the 603, which will still increase your FPS and range and accuracy, but it will not as big of a risk for the jamming issue. The other thing I would recommend is either a high torque motor to give you a better trigger response, or if you want the trigger response, I would recommend an active braking MOSFET, because that will protect your trigger contacts, and basically it'll also give you really fantastic trigger response. So that about wraps it up with the AEG side of things. The last thing I would just recommend for any AEG, whether it be a CQB gun, a field gun, or a DMR, is to consider going the LiPo route, the lithium polymer battery route, getting a 7.4 or even an 11.1 LiPo battery. And the reason for that is because you don't have to open up the gun, you don't have to mess with the internals, but it will increase performance significantly. So that would be, just one thing to keep in mind if you're not very handy with guns, if you don't know a local gun tech, if you're just clumsy when it comes to fine-tuning guns, whatever be the case. So moving on, we have our sniper class, and really, ultimately, I would recommend sticking, if you really just want to be a sniper and snipe all day long, you love picking off targets at long range, I would recommend going with a spring bolt action rifle. They're just reliable, you can get just about any kind of upgrade kit for them, and most importantly, they can shoot 0.3 gram BBs and higher gram BBs than just your average 0.25. And that will give you better accuracy and better, you might lose out on the range, yes, but the guys are going to feel their hits more, and definitely, if you're looking for a one-shot kill, being able to launch a 0.3 gram BB at someone from far away is critical. So that's what I would recommend, is, stick to bolt action spring, and stick to 0.3 gram or higher ammunition. Now, for those of us who like to have an air tank and a hose on our person, including myself, for the Polar Stars, there's really not much you can do to upgrade a Polar Star. A Polar Star is freaking awesome to begin with, but if you must, I would recommend a red, or I believe it's a silver, one step down from a red. Feel free to correct me on that. But a red or silver nozzle, the reason being is you're going to get better air efficiency out of your fusion engine. And so that way you're not wasting tanks and such. Your every shot is, the minimal amount of air needed to put it at the exact range that you need. The other thing I would recommend doing is definitely putting, and this is totally optional because this would help with your trigger response. A lot of people are putting shims behind their trigger, so that way you increase your trigger response, but the Polestar Fusion Engine has such amazing trigger response in my opinion. To begin with, I don't really think this is necessary, but if you must upgrade your gun, maybe consider throwing a shim in your behind your trigger, or excuse me, would it technically be in front of your trigger? I don't know. I would have to open my Fusion Engine to take a look. But basically, you want to shorten the distance the trigger has to travel to make contact and to release some of that energy and relieve some of the pressure in the tank. So basically what you're doing is giving it even more trigger response, and there's tons of videos on YouTube on how to do this. So you can stick just about anything in there, just a little piece of metal. I've heard that non-corrugated cardboard actually works, although you have to replace it from time to time. So you know, anything of that nature would probably be good for upgrading your Polarstar's trigger response. So that about wraps it up for today's Monday Mailbox in terms of upgrades. Let me know in the comments below how you chose to upgrade your gun. I'm certainly interested to hear, because these selections were really tailored to my style of play, I guess. I like to flank. I like to be very aggressive. You'll see I die and respawn a ton in this game. I played somewhat conservatively because there were so many guys, and I was only playing the right side of the field, but I still died and respawned plenty of times. So I really like to rush the enemy and get in their face and cause some issues for them, give them a headache. So that's my play style, and that's how I tailored these upgrades. So just let me know what you guys think, whether it be yay or nay, or I was close, but you would do it a different way. So just let me know in the comments below, and also leave comments for what you guys would like to see in future Monday Mailbox episodes. I will just let you know, next week I will not be posting a Monday Mailbox. It might come later in the week. It might not come at all because I'm going to actually be out of town for the week. So I apologize in advance, but all comments will be considered for future episodes of the Monday Mailbox. I will leave you to enjoy the rest of this footage. There's not too much left, but it is kind of fun to watch me rack up some kills here in the end. So, as always, have a good one, and I hope to see you guys down soon at the club. This is John signing off.